Hey there, welcome to the Tech Tuesdays webinar on migration from subject area to Entity 360 in MDM. I am Vrinda Anil and I'll be hosting today's webinar. Today's webinar is intended for MDM developers and architects who work on MDM solutions for customers. The presenter will be Dhananjay Singh, lead SME MDM from the Global Customer Support team. He has expertise in different customers implementation on business entity services modeling, and design of MDM solutions and task configuration using active VOS. Here are some housekeeping tips. Today's webinar is scheduled for 1 hour, including a webcast for 45 minutes. After the webcast, we'll be moving into live to answer the questions you have. All dial-in participants will be muted so that the presenter will be able to present without any interruptions. Questions can be submitted to all panelists via the Q&A option, and we'll be responding to the questions and queries you have at the end of the presentation. The webinar will be recorded and will be available to view in the Informatica support YouTube channel and the Success portal. The link will be emailed to you. Please take some time to complete the post-webinar survey and provide your feedback and suggestions for upcoming topics. The Informatica Success portal is a micro-learning platform that offers free and unlimited learning to all registered users. The Success portal lists your success offerings, your customer success manager information, bookings available in the Ask an Expert session, and customized recommendation and content. Our new intelligent virtual assistant Diana is available on the Success portal for all our cloud customers. Over to you, Dhananjay. Thank you.
Thanks for the introduction, Brinda. Greetings, everyone. Today's agenda is migration from IDD subject area to E360 application. So today's agenda include overview of IDD migration. What is the difference between IDD and E360 application? What are the prerequisite and validation required in order to do a migration from SA-based IDD application to E360 application? What are the different modes of IDD application? How can we generate business entities if I have an existing a subject area-based application? Provisioning tool components. So if anyone not aware, like provisioning tool is a modeling tool for data modeling tool for business entities. It is something similar to IDD config where we used to build subject area related configurations. How to create a E360 application for data director. How to enable smart search and design homepage. So if someone not aware, smart search is a new searching capability in E360 application where you can do a Google like search. We will see more. We'll see more in coming slides. How to what are the configurations needed around smart search and how once it is enabled, how it looks like in the UI. We will also discuss about another different features available on E360s. If you have an existing Siberian based or ActiveOS SA based task, how if I'm migrating to business entity 360 application, how to migrate those existing tasks. We'll quickly take a look. Like recently you might have seen we have been sending communication to customers where we are saying like very soon we are stopping Adobe Flash support. What is the impact and what is the if it is impacting the existing version, what you might be using, what are the options, how to take care of that part. Lastly, like we'll see migration related FAQs. Overview. In MDM version 10.x or later, Informatica data directory was modernized. That is, their data structure wise, there was a shift from IDD subject area to business entities. IDD subject area organizes and relates the base object in a ORS one to other in a three-level tree structure. So if you are building an idea of subject area IDD application, you can build only three-level structure, parent, child, grandchild. If you have a requirement doing like going more than that, like four-level, five-level depth structure, that is one of the major limitation we have in the subject area based configuration. Business entity organizes and relates the base object in a tree structure, something similar to subject areas, but major advantage is it comes with unlimited depth. You do not have any restriction like subject area. Apart from that, subject area also supports enhanced user interfaces, REST API related calls, smart search, and ActiveOS. It uses ActiveOS engine for business process workflows. We will be covering this each topics related to business entities in coming slides. Let's start with the differences between the E360 application and subject area framework in IDD. First one is API. Subject area uses SIF framework where we have capability of doing different merge those capabilities. Similar to that, in business entity, we use business entity services. There are some advantages of using business entity services over SIF that we'll be talking about in coming slides. Key component in subject area based application, the components key components are subject area lookup, claims function, data security, task administrations. If you are building a business entity application, key components are business entities, reference entities. Reference entities are nothing but lookup tables in the base of MDM hub. Transformations. This is something similar to the cleanse functions. Field filters. This is something you can correlate to the data security what we had in subject areas. Task and triggers. So there is a major shift around task configuration that we'll be seeing in the upcoming demos. In a subject area, we used to create task manually. So all task creation in business entity model, it's now trigger driven. Modeling in subject area, it's only used within IDD. SA-based IDD application, it's something similar to business entities. It's subject areas where subject areas are logical layer on top of the underlying base object model in a IDD hub. However, the subject areas cannot be accessed outside IDD UI. So there is no way, if you have a subject area configuration, there is no way you can access that subject area outside IDD UI through any of the API calls. In business entities, allows you to create a UI as well as the business entity models are exposed outside the UI as a RESTful APIs. Workflows in subject area, if you want to create a workflow, create a task, you make some changes on the UI and manually you need to trigger workflows. Whereas in business entities, workflows can be triggered through change of any state of a record through UI. You don't need to manually call any workflow. It is all trigger based. Customization in a IDD, low level control through so we have custom validate. If you want to implement any custom validation in SA based IDD application, that is achieved through IDD user exits, where you write your custom Java code. you deploy it through IDD config, and those custom validations are called when you do the specific operation on the UI. In business entities, IDD user exits have been replaced by external calls. So external calls are something similar to IDD user exit, but implementation wise it is much simpler. Where if you want to implement any custom validation in business entity model, all you do, you create your own web services for your custom validation. You deploy that web service, and in business entity you call that specific web service at a specific service phase. Data structure. In subject area data structure, data is organized around subject area and aggregated into subject area group. For example, subject area can be person. You configure the relationships within the subject area that is based on the relationship that exist in base object in house store. Business entity data structure. Business entity data structure data is organized around business entities. A business entity is a tree of node where each node represents a base object in MDM hub. The root node is something synonym to base business entities. For example, business entity with person root node is considered to be person business entity. Once you create the root node is established, you use provisioning tool to create the child node that might have one-to-one, one-to-many relationships. You can also use provisioning tool to configure the reference entities. That is nothing but the lookup tables configured in hub. Next is configuration tool. In IDD for subject area, we use IDD configuration manager. IDD configuration manager is a web-based utility to create, change, and manage IDD application that are based on the subject areas. An IDD application consists of XML configuration file, resource bundle, help file, and other components. In IDD, if you want to do any customizations, not all options are available through UI. If you want to add a custom component, you need to export the XML configuration file, add those custom components, and import it back. You can provisioning tool is a modeling tool for business entities. You can use business entity provisioning tool to define business entity model, task, transformations, and other designs for the UI. Search options. In subject area, search is available through name3 search query or exact DB search. In business entity, smart search using Elasticsearch engine, name3 search query. Import and export option. Import and export, we do have that capability in subject area configuration. In 10. Until 10.3, we had limitation on import, but in 10.4 we do support import, and export is also supported from 10.3 onwards. User interface, subject area user interface is more restrictive. As mentioned, like you can create only configuration group, parent, child, and grandchild. Business entity UI is more flexible. There is no limit, three level restrictions. On top of that, you can create different create option of creating different layout based on the different roles that exist in MDM. Top level tabs as an external link, that is something supported in subject area configuration. In business entity model, it is not yet supported. Task administration. In subject area configuration, task administration was supported for Cyprian. Something like that. Task administration. Until 10.3 we do not have that capability, but in 10.4 we do have option where you can do task administration based on the business entity model. Custom authentication in subject area, you can do it through legacy IDD tool. In business entity, you can do achieve custom authentication for your E360 application. Timeline is supported in subject area. That is one of the limitation in business entities. Timeline is not yet supported. Even in 10.4 also it's not supported. Attach document. If you want to attach a document to existing record, subject area you cannot do that. In business entity model, that is something supported. Future. In subject area there is no new enhancement, no feature uh, planned as of now. All enhancements are planned for based on the business entities. So going forward, you can expect more features in E360 application. Here, if you see in the right side of the diagram, if you see we have a subject area based subject area IDD config based on this IDD config based on the subject area configuration. On the right side, we have provisioning tool for the business entity modeling. Uh, if you see in IDD, we are using subject areas, something similar. We use business entities in provisioning tool. We were using lookup in subject area configuration. Now we use reference entities, cleanse functions, SA subject areas that we use transformation for similar functionality in business entity modeling, task administration. We do task and triggers in business entity modeling. Before we move forward, let's take a quick quick demo. Now I have logged into 10.3 IDD config where I have a MDM I have an application MDM sample. It has, if you see, person is my subject area, organization is another subject area. Now now if I want to create this application, something similar to this, I'll based on the business entities. I I have logged in here to provisioning tool, that is the data modeling tool for business entities. If you click here on the drop down in the modeling part, you see the business entities like person, for example. Person is a business entity which has child entities like email, telephone, address, person details, etc. Also, other than business entities, I can create a business entity views. Business entity views are nothing but a condensed version of your business entity. Uh, you can create any number of business entity views on a specific business entity. Task, as I mentioned initially, task are now trigger based in business entity model, where you don't need to create any task manually. For example, here if you see, I have a trigger called merge task. When there is any merged action being called from the UI, you see based on the configuration here, I'm saying like, okay, call B merge task. So what will happen whenever in the UI you try to create any merge task, if you want to do any merge, it will create a merge task in the backend. Another part quickly I wanted to show the external calls that is something in IDD subject area IDD we were using IDD user exit in that has been replaced by external call. Here if you see I'm doing a custom validation where I have deployed a SOAP service. These are the endpoints, and I'm saying use this external call validate person. I say for what all business entity should use that, and I say on the service phase write view or write CO before validate, call my custom validation. Now I'll switch back to my presentation. Next is mode for Informatica data directories. First is legacy mode. If you do not migrate your existing SA based IDD SA based application, if you upgrade to 10.3, you continue to use the legacy views and the functionalities for subject area. There is no impact on that. Next is E360 mode. If you migrate your application to E360 business, if you migrate to business entities, you select the E360 mode. There are configurations around that to enable E360. We'll cover that in coming slides. Business users can use the business entity views and the functionalities on the business entities. For E360 application, you use the provisioning tool to manage your migrated application. Next one is hybrid mode. So hybrid mode is something like that is not recommended unless you have a special use case. If where you see any limitations in the like in subject area, you can do some functionality, and that corresponding functionality is not available in E360. If you see, unless you see any gap like that, hybrid mode is not recommended. But yeah, if there are few functionalities which are yet to come in E360. In that's kind of scenario, you use hybrid mode. You migrate your application to a business entity, and you want to access both like data view as well as in the entity 360 view. So there is configuration around that. You can enable, you can see both views. E360 views and legacy views. In legacy view for subject area, we call it data view. E360 view for business entities is business entities. The major differences in business entity views, you can add the social information like Twitter feed. You can add the secondary components like similar record, related task, those kind of informations. You can configure more than one business entity views and add custom views for the view list. Matching records. The major advantage is you can merge child level entities along with the parent. In subject area, you can only merge parent level record. Also, you can run smart search to find and add similar records. You can also manually override the values in the matching record screen. History view. In history view in E360, the events appear in vertical chronology. And the data changes event appear on the panel to the right side. Now I have logged into a business entity based E360 application. I came to query screen and I'm doing query and I see few records from here. Now what I will do, I'll open that record. And in the option you see this is my one of the business entity views what I have created. On that view on the right side, if you see, like I have a custom component called related task. So if there is any task related to this record, you'll see that on the right side. Next is I will go to the matching screen. So next is I went to matching record screen, and you see these are potential matches. If I go to address one of the child entity, I see different address potential matches here. If I want to merge anything at the address level, so that is also we can do in business entity model. Next is history screen. If you see here, it shows the event in a chronological order. The recent changes, it does not matter whether it's on the parent entity or the child entity. It will also show on the top. Now we'll discuss about the prerequisite for the migration. So now I have a IDD application. I want to migrate to E360. What are the things I need to take care before I do migration? First hub repository and IDD application has to be in valid state. If there is any issue with that validation, we cannot migrate them. We need to ensure ORS and the IDD application meet the following requirements. Hierarchy. On hierarchy part, foreign key relationship must be mapped to code column. So if mapping is done to some other column, we need to remap to code columns. Subject area name. If you have any subject area name with the special character, especially with the underscore, it has to be renamed and underscore has to be removed. If you have any child entity, child subject area with uppercase character, we need to add this property in CMX server property before we move to business entity model for this IDD application. Validation. IDD essay-based IDD application has to be in valid state before we migrate to business entity model. Next is change mode of IDD applications. Once we open the IDD application in subject area, by default you see the legacy view and the search query and other features. Now, if you want to change the IDD application to E360 view, below are some properties in say, hub server and process server that needs to be changed. First is data view. If you are using data view dot enable for legacy view, it has to be true. But if you are moving to E360 application, you don't want data view, you mark it as false. Next is E360 dot data enable. If it is if you are using E360 application, it has to be set to true. Similarly, E360 match xref view, it has to be set to true if you are using E360 application. ss.enable, this is for smart search. If you are using smart search, it has to be marked to true. Now, like we took care of all prerequisite for a subject area to move to business entities. You log into IDD config, and if you see there is a option called generate business entity schema. So you click on that button. What it does, it converts your existing subject area configuration to business entity model. What it does under the hood, it creates a business entity for each subject area. It converts lookups to reference entities, migrates the relationship. So once you click on this button, on the back end, there is a configuration table called cRepos config. That table will be populated with all the required configuration to convert this subject area to business entity model. Configurations are saved in form of XML files. Before we move forward to other topic, let's go back to IDD config. I have a subject I have IDD subject area configuration with person as subject area, and it has some child entities like address, person detail. Now we generated business entities, business entity schema using this button. Now if I go back to provisioning tool, it should create a similar business entity. Here you see there is a person business entity created, and it has created similar relationship one to many like address, person detail, etc. Apart from this, like if you go to transformations, uh, it has created transformations like from business entity to views, views to business entity, and business entity to business entity level. So these are something similar to, you can correlate something to cleanse function, what I already had for my subject area configuration. Now let's discuss about E360 related features. First one, integrated business entity services. A business entity service is built on business entities. The API what we use for business entity is called business entity services. And using business entities, you can do different operations like create, update, delete, and search for a record in a business entities. Next one is configurable user interface. So in E360 user interface, you have a lot of flexibilities. You can create a lot of custom layout based on your business use case. For example, if you want to, along with the, suppose if you have a business entity called to a person, for person, along with the person details, if you want to show the Twitter feed for that specific entity, that is something you can configure. Along with that, if you want to show some secondary components like related task, similar records, or related records that can be achieved, you can create layouts, and that can be created based on the specific user roles. Next is unlimited nesting of descendant records. A subject area can include only records up to grandchild level. This is one of the major limitation in subject area. But in the business entity model, you have you have access to unlimited depth for child entities. We do not have any restriction. Ability to merge child record. In subject area, you cannot merge child record, only parent record can be merged. With business entity, you can merge child as well along with the parent record. Simplified and enhanced data search. In business entity, you can do a full text on business, full text search on business entities to retrieve data faster, and that is nothing but a smart search. And in 10.3, we strongly recommend customers to use Elasticsearch engine for that. Next is how to create a IDD E360 application. In provisioning tool, you can create a IDD based E360 based application. As you see in the screenshot, you create application, you provide name, you say what is the source system it will be using, what are the search options, a smart search as I mentioned in the Google like text-based search. Along with smart search, we do have still we support query-based search in business entities, where it's something similar to subject area configuration, where we used to create queries for a specific subject area and save it. We do have similar capability for a specific business entities. You can create queries and save it. And for IDD E360 applications, once you are done with the configuration, you click on publish. All these changes, once you publish, all configuration related changes goes to a specific C repos component instance, and it's saved in form of XML there. Next is design a homepage or dashboard. So you see that this is a screenshot from the layout designer. It has capability in layout designer. You can configure your homepage. Homepage for IDD application for business entities. We do have a lot of flexibilities in E360 application where when user logs in to E360 application in the homepage itself, you can say like, okay, they want to see task inbox, they want to see chart, you can configure charts, social media feeds, and other external resources. And this homepage is again configurable based on the user roles. So for example, if data steward they log in, they can have different homepage, and senior manager if they log in, they can see different homepage. Something similar to that, this layout is available at business entity level, where you can create different layouts for same in business entities for different roles. Now I have logged into my provisioning tool. I have created a E360 application MDM sample. Here my source system is SFA. I have said I will be using smart search queries. In layout designer, as I mentioned, layout designer, I have created a custom homepage where I say like when I log in, I want to see task in inbox, and also I have configured external resource link for Yahoo link. So what will happen when I log in? I will see a Yahoo homepage link. If a customer want to see something on the Yahoo page, they click on this. It will take them to Yahoo homepage. Something similar to that, you can do same a lot of customization around business entities. You see, for the same business entity person, I have created different layout for different functionalities. Here, if I will quickly go click on edit, and I will show you this layout what I have created. It is something, as I mentioned, it can be restricted to a specific role. Right now I have configured for anyone, but if you want to restrict this layout what we have configured, if you want to restrict to a specific role, you mention that okay, only this role will see this layout. So now customizing a E360 application. If you see, this is one sample screen from E360 application. So along with the basic information for that business entity for parent and child level, if you see, we do have on the right side, there is a configuration for similar record as a secondary component. You can add that. On the top, there is the search box. You see that is for the smart search. On the left side, if you see, the page navigation provides you an easy way to scroll to the entities like from parent to child. And it is in 10.3, 10.3 E360 look is pretty much similar to the customer 360. Now I've logged into my E360 application. So as soon as I log in, if you see on the home page, as I showed you in my configuration in the provisioning tool, I have task inbox where all tasks will show up. Apart from that, I have external link for homepage, Yahoo homepage we have configured here. On the left, on the right top, if you see, this is where you can do your smart search, and you can do a like full text search for based on a specific entity. Right now, I'm doing a search here. We have query-based search, something similar to subject area. You do query. I'm doing a query on organization business entity, and I click on the record. It takes me to the record details where you see the parent and child all informations. Now we'll quickly discuss about task management functionality. Task management, there are a lot of changes in 10.3. Task inbox UI has been changed where the fields what we see in task inbox that is configurable. If I don't want to see the out of box task inbox related configuration, it can be changed through provisioning tool. Also, we have support for task attachment. So if I create any task at that point of time, if you want to attach something, that can be done. As an approver, as long as they have access, they can view attachment associated with the task, they can review, and they can approve or reject. Now I've logged into my E360 application. I have come to Task Manager. So if you see, Task Manager screen itself is brand new in 10.3. Now where you have different options if you want to, if you are interested in seeing your only open task, if you want to just see the all unclaimed task, we have the options around that. There is only one search box where if you know the task details, if you have task ID or something, you can do a search. The way task we show for the business entity, that also has been changed. If you see, uh, one thing we wanted you to be aware in 10.3, there is a major change from the older build. If you want to take any in the subject area configuration, if you want to take any action on task, you don't need to. The claim was something optional. You can claim, you can take action with or without claiming the task. But in 10.3, it is mandatory. If you see the current task, unless this is a merge task, unless I claim this task, there is no merge option even available. So what I do, if I claim, and you see, once I claim, then only merge and other options are available for me. Now improved security for E360. Now SAM configuration, SAM is integrated with E360 until 10.2 version. There was a major gap where E360 was not integrated with SAM. So that has been taken care from version 10.3 onwards. Data filters can be used to control access based on the user roles and attribution. So if you don't want to expose specific field to all users, what you do using data filters, you can control and say like, okay, this specific role only should access, should be able to see data for this field. Another part, default values based on the user role. You can define based on a role, you can define a default values. Next is how to enable a smart search. So we have been talking smart search. To enable smart search, what all you need to do, when you configure your business entity model in provisioning tool, the fields what you want to enable for smart search, you mark there is an option for searchable. You enable that option. That will and after that, once that is done, you need to run the initial index job for that specific base object through MDM Hub. And once that has been taken care, if you log into your E360 application, you should be able to use Smart Search something like this highlighted uh, highlighted here. So I've logged into my provisioning tool again. So the field filters what we discussed just now. So that can be done. So field filters is available at the entity level, and you come here and you say like for what field you want to do put security, and here either we say allow for this specific role, or you can do it other way. You deny for this specific roles. So that was security related. Then for smart search, if you see for person business entity display name, I want to include display name in my smart search configuration. All you need to do, you need to enable this checkbox searchable and publish. And after that, as I mentioned from MDM Hub, the initial index job you need to run for this base object. That will enable you to see the smart search. After that, you should be able to use smart search in your E360. Now I have done my smart search configuration and provisioning tool. I have run my initial index job from MDM Hub, so that if I log into my E360 application, I come here and do a search, say for John. Okay. All records, relevant records, you should see as part of search result here. Now I'll go back to my presentation. Now let's discuss about migrating workflow adapters. So now think of a scenario where we have SA-based application where you might be using uh, uh, Cyperion or SA-based ActiveOS workflow adapter. Now you are migrating to BE-based ActiveOS workflow adapter. In business entity model, we do not support SA-based or Cyperion workflows, so we have to migrate to that. So what to do, like if you have some existing task using Cyperion or SA ActiveOS workflow, what to do with that? So MDM in MDM Hub, we do support primary and secondary workflows. So what has to happen, as I mentioned, if you're migrating to business entity model, we have to switch to BE-based ActiveOS workflow adapter as primary. You have to configure. But in case if you are coming from an older build where you have some existing task using Cyperion or a SA-based workflow, you have to configure a secondary workflow adapter where you mention either Cyperion or SA-based workflow where you have some existing task. So when you switch from older workflow adapter to be ActiveOS, along with registering in MDM Hub as a primary, you need to configure in provisioning tool, you need to configure the triggers, workflow types, and the templates around it. And if you have secondary workflow, you cannot create any new task. Secondary workflow adapter has to be used only for migrating the existing task from older build to 10.3. In order to migrate the existing task before 10.1, there is a migration script as part of upgrade guide that should be available. you use that script and migrate any of your existing tasks uh, to after moving to business entity. We quickly wanted to discuss about Adobe Flash support. Adobe has announced the end of life for Flash in December 2020. Flash supports MDM uses Flash in IDD E360 component like hierarchy view, history view, timeline view, etc. Please refer KB number 610975 for more details. It has like different components. It impacts you differently if you are using different versions. Like if you are only using subject area, if you are on 10.3, you are suggested to move to 10.3 HF3. If you are using both subject area and E360, if you are on 10.3, you move to 10.3 HF3. If you are using Entity 360 only, if you are using any version, move to 10.3 HF3 or 10.4. So please refer suggested KV for more details and reach out to support team in case you need some additional help. Next is migration related FAQs. So first one is it mandatory to upgrade to business entity? No, you can stick to existing IDD application in 10.3 also. Can I still use user exit for business entity? No. As I mentioned, user exit will not work in business entities. You have to move to external cost. After upgrade, can I continue to show only legacy view? Yes, you do not have to migrate to business entity. You stick to the legacy view. Next is do repository manager change list contain information about business entity? Yes, when you export your change list, it will have all configuration related to business entities. You just need to import to other environment and all business entity related configuration will be in place. Do I need to use ActiveOS for business entities? Yes, ActiveOS is the only supported BPM engine for business entity. Few best practices or known limitations around business entities. If you plan to use hybrid mode, you need to ensure the application name is same in IDD config and provisioning tool. For generating a business entity, either you use pure IDD application or create any applications from scratch through provisioning tool. Do not mark row ID object as searchable. So in business entity model, marking row ID object as searchable is not supported. You do not use any special character underscore in subject area labels. Timeline is not supported in E360. There is no advanced search query in E360. Task inbox in task inbox in E360 application there is an option to do search, but that search is case sensitive. Another suggestion, business entities, if for think of example like if have a say subject area based configuration, you want to generate business entity. So first time you go to generate business entity, first time you go to the IDD config and generate business, use generate business entity schema button from there. Once business entity is generated, after that you should use provisioning tool to make any further changes. So what we are trying to say, generating business entity from IDD config should happen only one time. That is all we wanted to cover as part of this session. We are open for Q&A. Thanks a lot.
So we are open for Q&A session. Any question? So what we are trying to Hello, everyone. Is there any question that we can answer? We have some time, around 10 minutes.
Yes, we have two questions, Dhananjay.
Yeah, I see. The first one I see in the chat, what are the key enhancements from 10.3 to 10.4? So 10.4, yeah, so 10.4, like we can expect like a lot of new features, like we have network, and there is a concept like network hierarchy that is good.
Okay, we have another question from Gopinath Sridharan. How about bulk merger or unmerged in E360?
1 second. Yeah. How about bulk merge or unmerge?
I guess this question is incomplete. Could you please elaborate this question, Gopinath? So we'll skip to the
Yeah,
next
while I'm
question.
getting that question, I'll try to answer other question. I think another one is, can we do a bulk data load in E360? I think that is what like we discussed about the file import, where you put the data what you want to import through the Excel sheet and import it. So in E360 in 10.3 we do not have that feature, but yeah, as I mentioned in the presentation, in 10.4 to 10.4 we have file import capability. So next question I see, in what release will timeline supported for E360? Most probably in 10.5, like that is, but that is tentative for now. Yeah. Yeah. So another question, what we I see in Smart Search Grid, can we display child business, child B column? Yes. So Smart Search, when you configure Smart Search through provisioning tool, like you can configure parent or child entity recommends the field from parent as well as child. Yes. Next question, can we confirm whether EBF 16538 is included in 10.4? So yeah, this is something like if you can email us, I can check with R&D and respond back to you. I do not have that information handy right now. Thank you. So next question I see, when we do merge task one after other, can we have a set of records that has to be merged or unmerged? Not sure. Can you please elaborate? I think this question is from Gopinath. Can you elaborate that? What you're asking for? Yeah, next question I see, in Hub, where do we run initial index for Smart Search? Yeah, the where you run your regular batch jobs. There is also this where load stage jobs. There you see option for initial index job. That is what once you configure Smart Search first time you are for respective base objects, you need to run initial index job from there. If you use timeline with subject area, we must migrate to 10.3 HF2 in order to continue to use. What is that, right? So as we mentioned in the presentation, timeline view is available with subject area only. In 10.3 HF2 also, if you are planning to continue a subject area configuration, yes, that is something you can continue. Can we use history view to somehow replace the timeline using start and end date to see the records during previous version of the records? So in history view, yeah, as we mentioned, like, the changes are shown in chronological order. So if that is something that works for your use case, yeah, that can be, yeah, so you can use history view for now. Can we, so next question I see, like, can we use business entity in IDD application? Yes, as we mentioned, there is, though it is 10.3 onwards, that is not recommended. But if there is a need, if there is a feature that you are using in subject area that is not available in E360 in 10.3, you can enable hybrid mode where you can use a E360 and a subject area-based IDD application, both. Yeah. So next question I see, like bulk import, can we do bulk merge from business? Need to have existing row ID xref. So I don't think like bulk merge, yeah, bulk merge is something like from the UI, at least it is not available. I'm not sure. If you can email me this question, like, with more details, I can check and let you know. Is it, next question I see, is it possible to access business entity views through business entity service calls? So answer is yes. Any calls, like the way you are making calls for business entities, you can make a similar call, you can create a view, and that view can be used for read, write, update request. Yep. Okay, so next I see when we switch from subject area to BE, does Informatica automatically create the business entity model? So as I explained, like if you have a subject area model, if you want to change to business entity model, all you need to do, you go to IDD config and generate business entities. What system will do, it will create business entity model based on subject area configuration existing what you have. So answer is yes. If you generate business entities for existing subject area configuration, you get a pre-built business entity configuration. Yeah. Anything else? Anyone?
Dhananjay, there is one question from Venkatram. Shall I call out that question?
1 second.
Yeah, I will call that. Bunch of DQ rules in IDQ mappings or mappers. Any plans of leveraging the same in E360 as transformation rules?
Yeah, so this is something like I need to check. Venkat, if you can email us, like we'll get back to you on this. Yeah.
There is one more question, Dhananjay. In smart search grid, can we display child BE column?
Yes, I think that is something we answered. Yeah, in smart search, we can accommodate child business entity columns as well. So all you need to do, you need to configure child entity columns through provisioning to mark as searchable, and they will participate in smart search as well. So I think there was another question like EBF 16538 is available in 10.4 or not? Like, so we were able to check internally, and yeah, it is present in 10.4. Any other last minute question that we can take?
Dhananjay, there was this question from Gopinath before. When we do the merge task, one after other, or can we have a set of records that has to be unmerged or merged?
Yeah, so that was something not clear. Like, I requested to Gopinath if he can email us. Like, question was not clear.
Okay.
Yep.
Gopinath, please go and email Dhananjay about the question and elaborate it. He will be able to answer your question. If you have more questions, please post your questions in the Q&A section. We'll be closing in some time. So I do not see any more questions.
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, Sanjay's email. Could you please type in your mail ID, Sanjay?
Oh, yeah, sure.
So we don't see any more questions coming in. So thanks everyone for joining the webinar. And thanks all the panelists and Dhananjay for having set aside his time for this presentation. Thanks a lot for joining. The recording will be present in the Informatica Success portal. Thank you. Thanks a lot.